Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Kaiserreich. We're playing as the Russian Socialist Republic. Ooh. So, plans have changed. Let's look at the wars currently ongoing. The Indochina War. It's the Reds. And the Mingan Insurgency. It's the Reds. Perhaps we should send some volunteers. Oh, look at that. A bunch of tanks. You two can go. And then, you two can go. Oh, we can send 3. I'm actually not sure about, like, dumping on Indochina. I think infantry might be better. Mountaineers might be good. Whoops. Wasn't this just 3? Oh. I can't read. Perfect. Perfect. Oh boy. It's party time. Well. Mass resignation. Those are not great. Mass resignation of the white generals. In a long letter of protest signed by over 180 officers of high rank, the top brass of the Russian army have explained how they cannot, in good conscience, continue serving under a government which amnesties communist criminals and twists Russian democracy and the legal system to further their own goals. Some would hope that the threat of resignation would pressure Maria Spiridonova to back down from her most radical plans, but that doesn't seem probable. They do admit that if it is the wish of the Russian people to transition to a socialist-esque system, they will not shed blood because of it. But they also cannot continue serving under such a regime. Their words do include a warning. If this new Russia loses the support of the people and veers into Bolshevism, the volunteer movement will rise again, as many times as necessary. In lukewarm cooperation with their government, generals have received pensions and will retain their ranks, retiring as honored parts of the army. Some have even accepted remaining as military educators. There are not enough officers to fill out all freed vacancies immediately, but a large number of younger generals were immediately promoted to the highest echelons. The new Minister of War, and thus Chief of the Army, is Yuri Sablin, the SR candidate, who is preferred over various Bolsheviks. Alright, see you later. We do not have a lot of Reds. We have Sablin and Legendovsky. Alright. Let's see what a bunch of SRs can do. Ah! A Board of Kazakh result. Not long after we laid our plans for an extended autonomy in the Kazakh people of the Alash autonomy, a small group of Alash officials approached us warning of an underground movement among some Alash militia leaders who thought an overthrow of the Alash government to implement a reactionary independence movement in the region. While we initially believed this was merely a bark of spat between Kazakh rivals, we heeded their warnings and moved to isolate and remove figures' names. It's lucky that we moved when we did, because we appeared to catch the plotters unawares, forcing them to spring into action half-cocked, calling for a mass revolt against what they called neo-Bolshevik tyranny. The militias, led by disgraced Kazakh military leader Serdyk Amazov, were almost immediately beaten back, with significant elements of the planned attack snuffed out or encircled. With our commitment to Kazakh democracy and autonomy, the people of the region, which clearly the plotters relied on for support, declined to join this foolish and dangerous endeavor. Hopelessly outmatched and outgunned, and without the support of the populace, the conspirators survived the initial battles and fled southward in droves, entering the rogue reactionary Republic of Tashkent with the tacit support and approval of warlord-turned-president Mabdin Bek. If only we caught them before they escaped. I would love to not fight another civil war. I think that's basically what everyone in Russia agrees on. War support and stability is bad. It's not good. Alright. Formation of an All-Russian Union of Labor. The founding conference of the VST, All-Russian Union of Labor, held in Petrograd under the chairmanship of the venerable old socialist Vladimir Levitsky. The core of the conference were radicals from the RDP and trade unionists from the VT-SPS, who have been the driving force in creating a new all-Russian socialist party to replace the social democratic veneer of the RDP. Many other factions were also invited. Most only legalized fairly recently. Former Mensheviks and even Bolsheviks were there, some returning from their foreign exile, while others had simply stayed quiet during the Savatikovist regime. The long negotiations illustrated just how shaky a compromise had been crafted. Though claiming to represent the whole of the Russian urban proletariat, the VST has already shown signs of factionalism. In particular, a particularly egregious disagreement was how quickly socialism in Russia could be built. Radicals from the RDP have argued for a slow transition out of capitalism, with the nationalization of major industries while keeping smaller businesses intact. Others, like the Bolsheviks, argue that Russian socialism cannot be built with half measures, and it is a necessity to do away with capitalism quickly and efficiently. This disagreement, not to mention others, practically fit the VST into a left and right faction, with Levitsky's leadership offering a compromise between the two. The construct is shaky and much of it relied on Levitsky's negotiating skills, but for now, a united front is reality, and it's solely needed. Proletarians unite? Proletarians unite! Okay. Party time, baby. French integralists restore monarchy. Reactionaries devolving into further reaction. Typical. Typical. When are these volunteers going to show up? The 6th? Okay. I don't know if the Indo-Chinese are going to last that long. Electoral deadlock in the United States. Capitalism in crisis. What else is new? Listen, we're all in crisis, baby. Let's go. We do not have a faction. We had a faction, and then it went bye-bye. Okay. We need to press buttons. Slay militarism. Uh-oh. All Cossack hosts and divisions of Kazakh Divizhnya. What are Kazakh Divizhnya? Oh, these guys. They're locked. Crap. Yep. Can't be disbanded. They're locked. Well, crud. Oh well. We could slay militarism. We could do a lot of things. Let's... anyways. Great humiliation of the Russian Republic was not in the hands of an opposing army, but capitalist thieves and rats who sought to exploit the Russian people. The so-called Vilnius Accords, negotiated by the bourgeois democratic governments, will be torn down. It already was, but whatever, while ensuring the true smooth transition to the people's economy. I can press buttons. Probably should press these buttons. That probably would be good. We are taxing foreign shares. Yeah, let's, improve these guys. That's fine. Whatever. We're gonna get a naval doctrine, because apparently that's a thing. Oh, man. Base strike. I guess. Fleet and being. I guess. I'm gonna try base strike. I don't know if it's good. I could go trade interdiction if I'm really not going naval. But, you know, we allegedly carriers are good now, or better, so we're going to do base strike. Look at that. Okay. Anyways. Yay! Reunification of the Socialist revolutionaries, I guess. The SR party has had a volatile past. It's gone through many splits, the most recent one after the death of Viktor Chernov. Savinkov all but decimated the right wing, turning many good men into traitors to the nation. The left was forced into hiding, returning back to their terrorist roots. But now, the SR party finds itself in a prime position to gather a majority of the peasantry under a single banner. With the overall leftward shift in Russian politics, the situation has been reversed. In the 1920s, the left SRs operated from inside the more politically acceptable right-wing leadership. Now the right SRs are operating from inside the more politically acceptable left-wing leadership, and arguably, many have genuinely embraced a more socialist approach after the failures of liberal government. Peasants are together, strong together. Anyways, I'm going to accelerate slightly. Oh, my divisions have arrived. You are going to motorize yourself. And we're going to use... We do not have a lot of generals, do we? Hey, it's Vasilevsky! Alright, Vasilevsky. I've been told that you're good at this. You are not Vasilevsky. You can be... I don't know. Nikolai Vatunin. Yeah, these are all the greatest hits of... I think this is just the greatest hits of Stalin's purges, but whatever. Oh boy. Oh, crap. The head of the White Snake. There's the air of a civil war in Russia. As the new socialist government is giving its first decrees from Moscow, most of the country is in confusion. Good water. But it's not the aimless chaos of 1917, where Russia was in anarchy and only swords ruled. Most of the civil service seems to view Boris Kamkov's government as legitimate enough not to actively resistance, and armed resistance has been only sporadic and regional. Assurances by Provisional President Maria Spiridonova have calmed some nerves, and many are even cautiously hopeful, in that the new government seems more like the provisional one in 1917 rather than the Bolshevik one. The largest military conspiracy around Mikhail Dozgovsky was unable to remain secret, and the general was soon arrested. Even though the officer corps and many garrisons preferred resistance, the overwhelming majority of the common soldiers and NCOs have not been willing to raise arms against the new revolutionary government, and instead, in many places, have placed their former superiors under arrest. General Alexander Vasilevsky and 27 other young generals, hey, it's Vasilevsky, we just talked about him, have recognized the new government a widely circulated letter calling for restraint for the military and demanding that free elections be organized. The former chief of army and a number of other high-ranking officials were arrested in conjunction with crimes committed by the Savinkov regime. Some managed to flee, while a few are dead after resisting arrest. In some cases, small battles were fought. Our security services managed to capture Denikin, Wrangel, Dostoevsky, Kupatov, with Markov on the run. The strongest resistance has been organized not by old generals, but the younger ones, particularly former Svobodnik associated figures, but there have not been widespread defection or nationwide resistance, and the small white holdouts have been cleared relatively efficiently. We will take no chances with the whites. Ah, how quickly the turntables. Uh-oh. Rise of the workers' parties. After a long period of being outlawed and persecuted, Russia's socialists are finally free to politically organize. While the majority of socialists have gone to Levitsky's VST, or have remained loyal to the socialist revolutionary cause, there are numerous minor parties being founded. The only old Republic party that still remains as a power is Zeller's Social Democratic Union, which was created out of the greatly diminished RDP after the radicals left. On the other hand, they have received new members from the right, from those who believe they can push a more conservative or moderate agenda through the SDS. Another old party is the Resurgent Communist Party, the RKPB, whose central committee has returned from exile under Sverdlov, greatly diminished from their glory days. They were further weakened as Tomsky and other Bolsheviks who'd made their home in Russia, the Russian trade unionist movements, refused to bend the knee, and instead joined the VST for greater influence. The Bolsheviks are not particularly well liked, and among other parties, an official agreement has been formed to keep them away from important positions of power. Finally, there are dozens of other smaller parties formed around influential leftist figures or more marginal ideological streams, like anarchism or women's rights. These minor parties or independents are also include large numbers of not-so-committed socialists, who are mostly socialists for appearance sake. Individually, these minor parties don't have much influence, but they do form a relatively large minor bloc in the Congress. Socialist discourse at its best. Only semi-ironic. I can want sub-doctrine. Patrol boats. I don't know if I want that. Anyways. You said it, I think. I should really be concentrating my forces. That would be the smart thing to do. Like, once these guys die. Hetman Skoropadsky flees Ukraine. Let's hope that, for some time now, the German state... Ukrainian People's Republic? People Republic? Republic of the People? For some time now, the German client state of Ukraine, led by Hetman Pavlo Skoropadsky, has been embroiled in a Republican uprising. Now it seems the future of the Hetmanate is in jeopardy with news that Skoropadsky has fled the country. After a successful assault on Kiev, the Republican opposition has declared the restoration of the Ukrainian People's Republic. Though the development has put Germany's grip on its eastern client states in doubt, the new government has already reached out to Berlin to negotiate their future relationship. Let us hope that Mr. Vinichenko's role in this is not forgotten. Okay, party time in Spain. One of the oldest parts of the mod. One of the few remaining three-way civil wars. That is still, like, old school three-way civil war. Sweden's joined the Reichspakt. That's fine. Because the Finns joined the Third International. That's, like, in response. That's what they've done. We've not seen enormous waves of Third International defections, which is a little annoying, but whatever. Let's just take these guys out of the knees real quick. Spanish Civil War! It was inevitable. I'm just gonna chill in Saigon. I'm literally not gonna move. Alright, that's maybe not ideal, but whatever. Oh, it's the party. Return to the Exiles! One of the first acts of Maria Spiridanova's government is the annulment of all sentences related to political crimes given under the State Protection Act of 1923, which banned all communistic action. Based on this law, thousands of socialists were persecuted and imprisoned. Many fled in the socialist West to join the Bolshevik exiles there. But now, most of them are returning on red ships, bringing our comrades back home from Paris and London. That's in reference, I think, to the white ships in OTL. The comrades are welcomed warmly in Petrograd, but seeds of conflict are there as wildly different experiences between the exiles and domestic socialists start to clash. The exiles, who seem more like a military political clique at this point, believe they were Lenin's true successors, and they're greatly disappointed by the state of Russian politics, where it seems they have lost most of their popular appeal in favor of revolutionaries who actually led the last revolution. Welcome home. Hey, Tukhachevsky's back, baby. Let's go. Tukhachevsky. It's Tukhachevsky. More resource efficiency gain? Seem good to me. Halt. Do we want to try to surround Nanjing? I think we probably do. Probably gonna wait a little bit though. Wait. Alright, Prince Sabadine, appointed Grand Vizier. Socialization of industries successful. People's security apparatus is not blowing my mind, honestly. Okay. Plane stuff. Boat stuff. Not mind. Have to complete the focus. Slay militarism. Okay. Slay militarism. We should do that. Wrangel, Denikin, and others were once considered the last line of defense against socialism. They could not have been more wrong, but their influence remains. The next big step towards ensuring Russian socialism is safe from all threats, internal, externals, destroy the White Hydra in the army. Anyways. What? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Interesting. Das neue Russland. Following the triumphant seizure of power by the working class, the revolutionary storm has now swept across one of the most downtrodden peoples of the former empire, the Jews. While dwarfed in size by their brethren in the Pale of Settlement, who are still under German occupation, the Jews of Russia have struck off their chains, freeing themselves from the dual chains of Svobodanism and capitalism. While some among the middle class and intelligentsia feared a bloody wave of Red Terror, or worse, a return to the White Army's pogroms, the successful consolidation of the revolution has been met with a steady, uproarious roar of approval from the working class. Across town squares and the neighborhoods, the dual anthem of the workers' Marseille and the Internationale are sung out in glorious Yiddish and Hebrew. That being said, the revolutionaries of Russian Jewry are not necessarily united in their opinions on the revolution's direction, dividing themselves into numerous workers' parties that have loosely arranged themselves within the workers' coalition that now rules the country. Loosely aligned with the SRs ever since the February Revolution are the United Jewish Socialist Workers' Party, or the Ferkinites, whose primary motivation is to create an extraterritorial Jewish parliament to communally represent the disconnected Jewish settlements and neighborhoods within the country on cultural and educational matters, while supporting federalism for the Jews and other minorities with make up concentrated populations. Across the aisle, the General Jewish Labor Bund in Russia has largely folded into the VST's confederal party structure, with most former Bundists smoothly aligning themselves with their Menshevik allies in the VST right, supporting national cultural autonomy through federal protections of the Yiddish language and the empowerment of local Jewish institutions. Something of a wild card, the Marx-Zionist parties of Poel Zion, Left, and HaShomer HaStyar, who've remained independent, supporting both the VST left's programs for affirmative action and, broadly, some form of future territorial autonomy for Jewish workers, not necessarily in Palestine. Whichever strain of thought becomes dominant will need to contend with the unescapable storm that the entire socialist world knows is coming, the final battle against the Kaiser. For the Jews of revolutionary Russia, for all the ideologies and squabbling, this war will be of utmost importance. The coming war will, once for all, decide their fate. Will they be the new Moses, leading their people into promised future, or the new Bar Kokhbaz, zealots leading them to their doom? Everywhere will be as Zion. With that, I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.